Welcome back to Your English. Today, we need to have an honest conversation. Not a comfortable one, an honest one. Because today, we are talking about something that a lot of people wonder about privately, but rarely say out loud. Why do I keep ending up with the same kind of people? Why does this keep happening to me? I changed my city, I changed my job, I changed my circle, and somehow, the same type of person finds me again. The same kind of relationship, the same kind of pain. Different face, same story. And if you have ever felt that way, I want you to know something first. You are not cursed. You are not unlucky. You are not broken. But something is happening beneath the surface that is worth understanding. Because the people we attract into our lives are rarely random. They are a reflection, sometimes of our wounds, sometimes of our beliefs, sometimes of the way we see ourselves when no one is watching. So today, we are going to go deep. We are going to look honestly at some of the real reasons this pattern keeps repeating. Not to judge you, not to make you feel bad, but to give you something far more valuable than comfort. We are going to give you clarity, and once you have clarity, you have the power to change. And as always, while you are listening, you are practicing real, natural English. This is your listening practice for today on Your English podcast, so stay with me. The first reason, you are still carrying an old wound that you have not fully healed. Let me be honest with you here. Most of us had at least one experience early in life, maybe in childhood, maybe in a first relationship, that taught us something painful about love or connection. Maybe someone important left. Maybe someone stayed but made you feel invisible. Maybe you learned that love comes with conditions, that you have to earn it, that you have to be perfect to deserve it, or that people always eventually disappoint you. And here is the thing about wounds that have not healed properly. They do not just sit quietly in the past, they shape the present. They shape who feels familiar to us, who feels comfortable, who feels like home, even when that familiar feeling is actually a familiar kind of pain. Now, understand this deeply. Familiarity and safety are not the same thing, but our nervous system often confuses the two. So when someone walks into your life who feels exciting but slightly unavailable, something in you leans in. Not because that is what you rationally want, but because something in that dynamic feels known, feels like a story you already know how to live inside, even if that story hurts. This is not weakness, this is human, but it is also something you can change once you see it clearly. Because healing the wound changes what feels familiar, and when what feels familiar changes, the people you are drawn to change too. The second reason, you give people too much too soon. And I say this with so much gentleness because usually the people who do this are the most loving, most generous, most warm-hearted people in the room. They are not naive. They are not stupid. They simply love deeply, and they want others to feel that. But there is a cost to opening completely before trust has been built. And that cost is this. Not every person who receives your warmth knows how to value it. Some people will take it and not think twice. Some people will receive your generosity and interpret it as neediness. And some people, the wrong kind of people, will see your openness as an opportunity rather than a gift. Now, this does not mean you should become cold. It does not mean you should close yourself off or test people or play games. None of that. It simply means letting people earn the deeper parts of you. Let time do its job, because the right people will still be there after time has passed. They will not disappear just because you did not give everything immediately. And the ones who disappear when you slow down were probably never really there for you anyway. Depth is not built in a week. Real connection grows slowly, and there is something beautiful about that slowness when you allow yourself to trust it. The third reason, you confuse intensity with connection. This one is subtle, but once you see it, you will recognize it everywhere. There is a kind of relationship that starts like fire. Everything is fast and electric and overwhelming. Messages at midnight, conversations that last for hours, a feeling that this person understands you like no one ever has. And it feels like connection. It feels like something rare and real. But sometimes that intensity is not actually depth. Sometimes it is just speed. And speed can mimic intimacy without actually being it. Real intimacy is built through time, through consistency, through showing up in the ordinary moments, not just the electric ones, through how someone treats you on a Tuesday afternoon when nothing special is happening, not just at the beginning when everything is new and exciting. The wrong people are often very good at the beginning. They are exciting and present and attentive, and then slowly the intensity fades, and what is left is not much, and you are left wondering what happened to the person you thought you knew. But that person was the beginning. They were not the whole story. And confusing the beginning for the whole is one of the most common reasons people end up hurt and confused. So learn to appreciate slowness. Learn to value consistency over electricity, because the relationships worth having are the ones that are still warm and real 6 months in, not just in the first 2 weeks. The fourth reason, you do not fully believe you deserve better. Now I know that might be hard to hear. And most people, if you ask them directly, would say, of course I deserve good things. Of course I deserve to be treated well. And consciously, they mean it. But belief is not only what you say. Belief is what you accept. Belief is what you stay for. Belief is what you normalize. And a lot of people carry a quiet, deep, almost hidden belief that they are somehow too much or not enough or difficult to love or lucky just to be chosen at all. And that belief, even when it lives below the surface, shapes every relationship they enter. It makes them tolerate things they should not tolerate. It makes them minimize their own needs. It makes them work extremely hard to keep people who are barely trying. Now let me tell you something important. That belief did not come from nowhere. Someone taught it to you. A parent, a teacher, an old relationship, a repeated experience that made you conclude something painful about your own worth. And the conclusion felt true at the time, but it was never actually true. It was just a story that got written in a vulnerable moment. And stories can be rewritten. Because here is what I know about people who finally break this pattern. It rarely happens because they found the perfect person. It happens because they decided, quietly and firmly, that they were no longer available for less than they deserved. Not out of arrogance, out of self-respect. And that decision changed everything, including who showed up in their life. The fifth reason, you are not yet fully yourself. And this last one is perhaps the most important of all. When we are not clear about who we are, when we are still performing, still people-pleasing, still wearing different versions of ourselves depending on who was in the room, we attract people who are drawn to the performance, not to us. And then we wonder why we feel unseen, why we feel lonely, even inside the relationship, why no one seems to really know us. But how can anyone know us if we have not shown them who we actually are? How can the right person find us if we are busy being whoever we think they want us to be? The deepest truth about attraction is this: like calls to like. When you are grounded in who you are, when you know your values and you live by them, when you speak honestly and hold yourself with quiet dignity, you naturally begin to attract people who resonate with that. People who are also grounded, also honest, also real. The pretending attracts pretending. The performance attracts performance. But the real version of you attracts real people. And becoming fully yourself is not a dramatic event. It is a slow, sometimes uncomfortable, always worthwhile process of choosing yourself again and again, of saying what you actually think, of walking away from what does not feel right, of trusting your own instincts, even when they are inconvenient, of building a life that actually looks like you. And the beautiful thing is this: you do not have to be finished becoming yourself before the right people start showing up. You just have to be honest about where you are, because honesty is magnetic in a way that performance never is. So let us sit with everything we explored today. You keep attracting the wrong people not because you're cursed or unlucky or broken, but possibly because an old wound is still shaping what feels familiar. Because your generosity is not always being met with the right kind of people. Because you have been mistaking intensity for real depth. Because somewhere inside there's a belief about your own worth that needs to be updated. Or because you have not yet given yourself full permission to be completely, unapologetically yourself. And none of these things are permanent. Every single one of them can shift. Not overnight, not perfectly, but genuinely over time with honesty and patience and the willingness to look at yourself clearly without judgment. The pattern breaks when you change, not when you find the right person. When you become more of who you truly are, that is when things begin to look different. And I hope today, even while practicing your English, something in this conversation landed somewhere real for you. Because that is what Yossr English is about. Not just better grammar, not just new vocabulary, but real conversations in real English that actually mean something to your life. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Leave a comment below. Tell me honestly which reason resonated with you the most. I genuinely want to know. Subscribe to Yossr English if you have not already, and turn on the bell so you never miss a new episode. Every week, we bring you English practice that feels like a real conversation, not a textbook, not a classroom, a real, honest, human conversation. This is Yossr English, and we will see you in the next one.